Hey everybody, today on this episode of the Archery Farm, we're going to talk about upgrading the accessories on a bow. We've got a customer's bow here. He wants to upgrade the sight and the rest, so we've gone through and we've chosen a couple accessories. We've got a whisker biscuit and a single pin sight that we're going to put on. So we're going to talk about how and why we're putting these accessories on. Okay, so we're going to start by taking off the old sight. Just 2 hex head bolts that we got to take out of here. Pretty easy. Okay, so we got the old sight off. It was a 3-pin fiber optic sight. The one we're putting on is a single pin fiber optic sight. Advantages, disadvantages to both. This is what the customer wanted to go with, so that's the one we're going to put on. You just make sure that those are tight. There we go. The sight is mounted. The next thing that we're going to do is mount the rest. This is the rest that we went with. It's a whisker biscuit. This customer is left-handed, so the whisker biscuits typically come out of the package right-handed, but they're easy, super easy to flip over. Just take your left and right adjustment screw out, flip the mounting bracket to the other side, and put it back in. Now you got a left-handed whisker biscuit. So we just got to take the old rest off. One single bolt right there. And the new rest is going to go back on in the same place. Getting it mounted on the bow is pretty easy, but in a few minutes we're going to talk about how to line it up and get it square. Just get it on there and eyeball it to make sure that it's level. And tighten it up. Now we got our accessories mounted on. So this is the rest that we took off. This is a really good rest. There's nothing wrong with it. The one we put on with the whisker biscuit keeps the arrow enclosed better than this one does. This doesn't have any capture capabilities. So for what the customer is going to be doing, this whisker biscuit is more suitable. That's why we took this one off. Okay, so now we're going to get the accessories that we put on. We're going to get them lined up. First we're going to start with the rest. Now getting the rest lined up properly is really important. So if you're not comfortable doing this after we explain it, best bet is to take it to your local pro shop. What you want to do is get the rest centered, and the way to do that is you're going to look at the string where it comes off the cam in relation to center of the limb, and you're going to follow that line all the way down the riser, all the way down to the rest, and hopefully you can get it so that the string goes right through the center of the rest. In this case right now, the rest is off to the right side, so I need to move it back over to the left. So you just loosen this screw right here, and you slide it over, tighten it up, and then take another look. Still needs to go a little bit more. Sometimes it's easier to do this if you have an arrow knocked on the string, just because that gives you a line to look at. If your string lines up right down the center of the arrow and follows the arrow all the way to the tip, then you know it's good. The length of the arrow can help make sure you're on. One more time. One more small adjustment and I think we'll have it. Okay, so we got the rest nailed down for left and right. The next thing that we're going to do is set the height of the rest. Okay, so we just got the rest finalized. The last part of getting the rest set up was setting the height of the rest. We're not going to talk about how we got there, but we're going to talk about what you want. When you got your arrow knocked on the string and sitting in the rest, you want the arrow to be about 1/8 of an inch on the knock high position. So that means that your arrow is exaggeratedly sitting on a downhill like this. But you don't want it to be super downhill, just 1/8 of an inch with the knock high. The reason you want that is just to add a little bit of direction to the arrow. It'll just make the bow easier to tune. There are some tools that you can pick up that will help you with that. There's a string level and an arrow level, so you can get the string nice and level and then get the arrow perpendicular. Work on getting it 1/8 of an inch knock high. And that's just a starting point. As you tune your bow later on, that may change, but that's a really good starting point to use. Okay, the last little bit we want to talk about is just getting the sight into a good starting position. For that, you line up just like you did with the rest and the arrow. You line up the sight right down the center of the string for your left and right. And for your height, a good starting position is to have the pin even with the top mounting hole. So we'll just get that one here, and it just has to be eyeballed because it's just a starting point. So we're just going to eyeball that right there, tighten her up. Now that we've got all the new accessories, we've got our rest, we've got our sight, everything's mounted on, everything's in a good starting position, the next step is going to be taking on the range, shooting it, and getting it sighted in, which you'll see in our next video.